Hello everyone and welcome back to another Marvel Crisis Protocol Battle Report. 17 threat of Asgardians finally taking to the field, and been looking forward to this. Even if they end up being trash, I don't care. I like the Asgardians. So we're going to see them and our first Infinity Gem in play today. But before we get started, just a reminder that please do subscribe if you want to see more content in the future, both of this game and all the other ones we cover on the channel. And if you would like to go above and beyond in terms of support, check out the Patreon, which helps keep the lights on for this channel, as well as the 6 nights a week Twitch video gaming stream that I host over on Twitch. But this one's safe for all ages. There's bad language and such on the Twitch stream, just as a warning if you watch these videos with your children. Anyway, let's get started looking over both teams and their team tactics cards. So a bit of a weird mismatch of villains. Yeah, they're all villains. Venom's questionable, I guess, but the rest are villains. Bit of a weird mixed match of villains. We have Ultron, we have Killmonger, we have Venom, and we have MODOK. And then the team tactics cards in play are Psychic Fortress, Aim Lackeys, Brace for Impact, Usurp the Throne, and Recalibration Matrix. And here are the mighty Asgardians, and because they're Asgardian affiliation, they'll be able to use Thor's affiliation bonus, which I think is spend a power and you can remove a bit of damage or a stats effect if you have it at the end of a turn. I think it's at the end of a turn. Either way, we'll see it in the fight. So, Thor is the leader, then we also have Hela, we have Loki, and we have Valkyrie, and importantly, Loki is equipped with the Mind Gem, the Infinity Stone, because he has the Gem Bearer for this, and another one, I can't remember which though. Either way, this is the only one that comes with him, so he is equipped with it. So that increases his threat by 1, which takes the team to 17, which is the threat value being played. The Mind Gem, he can use it to force somebody to move towards him. It also lets him generate an extra power just for holding an Infinity Stone. So he's actually getting 3 power phase rather than the 2 that Asgardians usually get. And the other tactics cards, Sibling Rivalry, Doomed Prophecy, Odin's Blessing, Drop Off, and Seeing Red. So the 2 objectives we'll be playing today is the Extraction, the Spider Infected Invade Manhattan, and the Secure is Right, Sparks over Extremis 3.0. So the Spider Infected are on the map. You can only ever hold one of them. If you do, you get a victory point if you're holding in the cleanup phase, but also the opponent gets a chance to move you depending on what you roll. You get advanced small. And the Extremist consoles, you just hold them. If you hold them, you get a victory point, but you can also, and this is the rule I always personally forget, you can spend a power to interact with an Extremist console and heal 1 damage on yourself. So the Extremist consoles are there, and on the far side of that car. And the Spider Infected are basically in like a 5 shape over there. Asgardians, deployed as you see them. Villainous cohorts, as you see them. And it will be, I guess we'll call them MODOK's team, I don't know. It's the enemies of the Asgardians going first in Battle Round 1. We Are Venom got the game started. He moved up medium once, spent a power to pick up the Spider Infected that was next to the caravan there, then just moved into position to be securing that Extremist console there. So he's just standing there, and now it's the Asgardian's first activation. Thor activated, and he has flight, so he can pretty much ignore scenery. So he moved into the street, spent a power to pick up the Spider Infected, then flew another medium next to this Extremist console right next to the car over here in relation to Venom. It's going to be a lot of that in the first turn, so get ready for it. So despite Ultron not really liking Thor, he decided to mimic his turn essentially. So he flew down, because he has flight as well. Over here, he picked up the Spider Infected that was in front of the Captain America statue. It really should have been on it, but couldn't fit it on. So he picked it up, and then he basically just stayed there because a medium... Or sorry, he moved once, then moved again, which means he doesn't have another move left to get over to the nearest console. Hela activated and moved up for her first action, so she's within 1 of that Extremist console. Then she spent her 2 starting power, again she has 2 starting power because she's an Asgardian, on doing Claim Soul, and despite Ultron being a soulless robot, Claim Soul actually did really well, and that's despite him having good Mystic defense as well. It did 4 damage to him of the 6 he has on his healthy side, and because it did any damage, it also somehow, as I knock over a lamppost, managed to claim his soul. So that is on Hela's card now, and she can use that for a couple of different things depending on what happens, and obviously Ultron generates some power based on the damage dealt to him. Killmonger activated, and using 2 medium moves he came around the corner there and then roughly moved here and picked up the Spider Infected for 1 power that was next to him. So that's basically all the Spider Infected picked up on this side of the table. The only one sitting is this one here, so it just comes down to the consoles now essentially. The Trickster God of Mischief Loki has activated. He moved up twice, but he stopped after his first medium move to spend 1 of his 3 power to pick up the Spider Infected, and then just moved over here. The range on the Mind Stone is only range 3, so there wasn't any shenanigans he could do this turn. Plus he kind of wants to charge in, because any enemies within 4 of him, and 4 is pretty sizable, hang on, show you, like 4 is a pretty sizable range. They have to spend an extra power to use superpowers, which is pretty nice. So now it's over to MODOK to end the turn for the villainous side. So there wasn't much to MODOK's activation, he just had to move up small twice, which got him within 1, so basically nobody's claiming that Extremist console now because there's 2 healthy characters next to it. And Valkyrie, who is the final activation for Battle Round 1, she ain't getting over there for sure. So Valkyrie's first action was to move medium through the doors there, then she spent 2 power on a charge, which is a move and an attack, which got her right here. She just did a basic attack on Ultron and whiffed spectacularly for, well, 1 hit got through and he easily defended it, so no damage there. And that does take us to the end of Battle Round 1, and people holding Spider Infected will have to test to see whether they get moved. So at the end of Battle Round 1, the villains have 3 of the Spider Infected and 1 Extremist console for a total of 4 victory points. The Asgardians have 2 Spider Infected and 2 of the Extremist consoles for a total of 4 victory points. So both teams are even, and just keep in mind, pushes have happened, but it's in the power phase of the next turn. We've just done it now to resolve it. So this one was contested by Loki prior to him getting shoved over where you can see him. Ultron was shoved where you can see him. Everybody else did not roll a crit hit or wild on their dice to see if the Spider Infected forces them away. So Venom stayed still, Killmonger stayed still, and Thor stayed still. With that, we go into Battle Round 2, and the villains still have first activation. So Ultron had a busy turn to get Battle Round 2 started. First of all, he activated his kinetic field generator to blast Valkyrie away. It cost 1 extra power due to his proximity to Loki, but he threw her into Hela, so she takes 1 from the damage. Hela did badly on her evade and took 2 damage. He then just stayed where he was because he knows he's going down, basically. So he fired 2 energy blasts at Valkyrie. When the first one hit, it was going to do 3 damage, but she spent 3 power to do Odin's Blessing. You spend 3 power, it reduces the damage an Asgardian would take to 1. So it got switched to 1, but he fired another one and also did well and did 3 damage. So she's sitting on 4 damage of 5 HP, 6 HP? 6 HP on her healthy side, and is probably now going to go get revenge. So Valkyrie did indeed activate and did indeed get revenge. She used 2 power for a charge, the 2 power she'd regenerated at the start of her turn, so charged in next Ultron, did a basic attack for 2 damage, which was enough to daze him. He dropped the Spider Infected and she spent 1 power to pick it up, because she got 2 power from the 2 damage she dealt, and then she used her second action to retreat, and for the first time ever, I successfully remembered that you can spend 1 power to interact with an Extremist console to heal 1 damage, and she did it, so please have your sarcastic golf claps in chat for that. With that, back over to the villains. MODOK was the next activate, and this is a perfect example of something that the Crisis Protocol community have been talking about a lot, and that's how swingy the dice are, based on the number of faces, etc. So he stayed where he was, because he's holding the Extremist console and Loki isn't. He did a Psychic Blast, or whatever it's called, his Mystic attack, on Loki, who has pretty good Mystic defense, although he still took 2 damage. Then, with the power generated from doing that damage, because he sapped the power from Loki, he used Doomsday Chair, which has range 4. He doesn't need to be nearby. So he did that. Loki spent 2 power to counter by using I Am a God, which lets him either on an attack or a defense, in this case defense, count his blanks. But that doesn't matter, because even though Doomsday Chair is a 7 physical attack dice, there's the roll. That's what the roll was. Now granted, that isn't statistical in any way, shape or form, but that just shows you how badly it can go. Either way, because Doomsday Chair has been used, it doesn't matter if it does damage or not. Loki is bleeding. That does also raise a question about how you use the Asgard affiliation rule. Hang on, I can read it over here. At the start of each of your turns, 1 allied character may spend 1 power if they do remove either 1 damage or 1 special condition. Each allied character may use this leadership once per round. So by turn, does it mean activation? But if it means activation, why doesn't it say activation? And if it means only 1 character per start of each of your turns, in other words 4, 5, 6 turns, however long the game goes, why would it need to specify that each allied character can only use that once per round? So presumably, by turn it means activation, and it just used the wrong nomenclature. Presumably. So I'm not sure, because again, because of the way that reads, I guess that means when Loki activates he can spend a power to use that and get rid of the bleed. It seems that's the way it's supposed to be done. Could be wrong. They've used the wrong wording either way, honestly. So we're staying over this end of the table because Loki activated next, and he would have had a very Loki-esque turn if it wasn't for the fact he was attacking MODOK. So, from where he was standing, he was within 4, so he did Mesmerize, and I think this is the first instance of a power on any character available where you need 2 wilds in your successes to activate a special condition. In this case, you force a character to move its standard distance, and if it stops near enemies within 2, the enemies take 1 damage, because it's like they get confused and think they're attacking someone else. But MODOK has the thing where wilds on attack rolls get changed to blanks, so it means presumably that the Mesmerize would not proc. Still did damage though. MODOK took 3 damage. So then Loki spent 2 power on the Mind Stone, which forces someone within 4, or within 3 to... Oh sorry, first he moved up, then he used the Mind Stone to make MODOK move small to where you can see him there. So currently he's the only one within capture distance of Extremis Console, but obviously Killmonger is right there. And oh, and also, sorry, he had 1 power left over. He spent it to heal 1 damage. So Killmonger activated, moved up with his first activation, then attacked with his vibranium weapons for a second. He didn't roll that well on his attacks. He got a lot of crits, but then that turned into a bundle, or sorry, got 2 crits, 2 blanks, and then his double additional dice from the crits were also blanks. He had 1 power on him, and if it weren't for the fact that Loki was his target, or Loki was within 4, he could have spent 1 on Special Forces training to make the blanks count as successes, which would have instantly obliterated Loki and knocked him out. However, because Loki increases the cost of superpowers, he doesn't have enough power to actually do that, so he just took 2 damage. All said and done, they're both contesting the Extremis Console. So Hela was next activated, and she had a heck of a turn. It really shows what she can do. But first, an oversight, forgot to mention, anytime anyone on the field, friend or foe, is dazed or KO'd, that gives her another captured soul token automatically. So she should have had 1 when Ultron went down, which meant she had 2 on her when she started her activation. Her first attack, she did claim soul for 2 power on MODOK. It did 2 damage, and because it did 2 damage, it gave her +1 soul, so she was sitting on 3. Then she did another one, and she can expend 1 to 3 souls to add an attack die to her attack. So she did another claim soul, boosted it by 2, and did 5, which plus the 3, or plus the 2 damage from before and the 3 MODOK had on him already, is actually enough to daze him. So because the second attack was successful, she gets back 1 soul token for that, and because MODOK got dazed, she got back another soul token for that, so she's actually back to sitting on 3 soul tokens again. That is an incredible turn. She didn't move, she's still claiming the Extremis Console, but MODOK is down. She's really powerful if you use those souls. And now it's over to Venom. So you've got to play for points in this game, and as such the final 2 activations aren't really activations because Venom and Thor both want to hold those consoles for a point each. So that's it, that takes us to the end of Battle Round 2. Also, just as a thing of note in case you're curious, why didn't MODOK use Psychic Fortress, the tactics card? It's not a reactive card, it's an active card. He would have had to have used it during his turn, and he didn't. So then about round 2, MODOK and Ultron will be flipping over their cards. However, in terms of victory points gained, the villains had 2 Spider Infected, and also both of those Spider Infected forced Killmonger and Venom to be moved where you can see them. However, prior to that, this Extremis Console was contested, but this one was claimed by Venom for a victory point. In terms of the Asgardians, Loki, Valkyrie and Thor all have Spider Infected. Loki and Valkyrie were forced to move, Thor was not, but that's 3 victory points, plus they held this Extremis Console, and Thor held that one up there, bringing the running score to 9 to the Asgardians and 7 to the villains, as we go into Battle Round 3 with the villains still going first. So MODOK activated to get this battle round started, and he was sitting on 10 power thanks to all the beatings he's taken. So he spent, no, he had 1 power left. He spent 9 power this turn, I think, in total. So he played Psychic Fortress and Aim Lackey. Psychic Fortress means, as I knock over a tree, he counts as being in cover, as does any allies within 4 of him, and that costs 3 to spend. Aim Lackeys means he gives a free movement action to someone within 3. Sorry, he spends 3, I don't think they need to be within a certain distance. He's given a free movement action to Ultron when it's his turn. So both those got played. Then he did a move, followed by a Doomsday Chair on Hela, got 4 damage through to her and has dazed her, so Hela will not be getting a turn this activation, and she'll be flipping her card. Then, because she was within 2, the second attack also is barely within 2. Like, MODOK is just basically too wide, but their bases did touch, sadly. So Valkyrie got hit, she got 2 damage plus a bleed effect, and that was a turn for MODOK, alright. Valkyrie activated next and first of all used Dragon Fang and attacked Modok, who despite having counting as in cover, so 1 success, took 4 damage, which is exactly how much HP he has on his wounded side, so he has perished and has been removed. She opted to stand still and attack Ultron, just to try and damage him with a basic strike, and she whiffed spectacularly. So she's just staying there, she'll probably go down as well. Didn't bother moving back to the Extremist console as a result, just wanted to do some damage to Ultron because he's on his wounded side too, but wasn't able to. So over to the villains. Ultron activated, used Metallic Fury on his wounded side for 7 physical. Only actually did 1 damage, but that was enough to daze Valkyrie, so she's down and out. Then he moved next to the Extremist console to claim it. So now it's either over to Loki or Thor. Thor activated and decided he was tired of just sitting on an objective, so he moved medium to roughly there, then he moved medium again to this Extremist console. Then he's done 2 actions, but he used the superpower, strongest one there is, to pick up Venom, throw him medium into a lamppost, took 1 damage, not much, but he's at least positioning himself to maybe do something next turn. So now it's over to either Venom or Killmonger. So I didn't think that one through as best as possibly could, because Venom activated and the first thing he did was use 2 power on Web Snare to pull someone within 4 medium. So he tugged Thor over here and they just moved small twice to get right back on his Extremist console. Thor is obviously not on it, so he's not claiming any. Now it's over to Loki to end the turn for the Asgardians. So Loki activated, moved up to the Extremist console, then used Illusions on Killmonger for 2 damage but no double wilds. So then he spent his last 2 power on the Mind Stone to force Killmonger to retreat small, and now it's over to the man himself, right there, to end off battle round 3. So Killmonger did a move followed by a charge, which is a move and an attack. Only did 1 damage to Loki all said and done. He needed to do 2 to daze him, so he's not doing that. And that's despite him spending, well, it would normally be 1 on special forces to count blanks, but he had to spend 2 because of Loki. He did, and it wasn't enough. Loki rolled well for his defense roll. So that takes us to the end of battle round 3. So as we enter cleanup for battle round 3, I think I totally forgot to mention, but it hopefully was at least obvious, when Valkyrie got dazed, she obviously dropped the spider infector she was holding. Ultron paid 1 power to pick it up. I don't think I mentioned it, so just making clear that it did, because Ultron had a spider infected, Venom has a spider infected, Killmonger, I said infected there, I'm pretty sure, infected, so that's 3 victory points there, and Thor and Loki saw spider infected for 2 for the Asgardians. The Extremist consoles, this one was owned by Ultron, but he has now been forced to move. Loki and Killmonger contested this one, they both also were moved by their spider infected. Venom scored this one, but then he was forced to move. Thor stayed still and nobody claimed that one. So this is a very close game, and the villains have actually managed to pull ahead by 1 victory point as 12 plays 11. We go into battle round 4 however with the Asgardians going first. So Hela got battle round 4 started and she used on herself Doomed Prophecy for 3 power. So this means that you spend the 3 to play, you add physical attack dice equal to your physical defense to physical attacks, but you don't get any defense rolls against physical attacks. She's not going to be attacked by anything, so it was safe. Probably can explain that in the most confusing way possible, but basically she can't defend against physical attacks until her next activation, but she gets to add 3 dice to physical attacks. She smacked Ultron with 9 dice, did 5 damage and 1 shot him. He is dead. He dropped Spider Infected, she paid a power to pick it up, and then moved next to the Extremist console there just to give her some safe distance from any other enemies. So with only 2 villains left standing, Venom activated, smacked Thor upside the back of the head, just did 1 damage plus bleed, and then retreated small to the Extremist console right there. So now, pick of the Asgardians, really, Loki, Valkyrie or Thor will activate. So Thor activated and did 4 Asgard, which is a move followed by a strike. He has to use strike, doesn't get to pick. And strike also has an inbuilt throw if you get a wild, so he threw Venom. So he did 1 damage with a strike plus 1 damage for impact. Venom countered by spending 2 power to play So Many Snacks to launch an attack because he's still within 3, and actually did 2 damage back to Thor. He then ended with a hammer throw, but the hammer throw did no damage. It still applies the shock stats effect however, but no damage. So 2 to Venom in total. So Killmonger activated, moved next to the Extremist console, then did a Black Ops strike for 3 power on Loki. It's not a superpower, so its base cost applies. He did 4 damage, he only needed to do 1, so Loki is down. However, he didn't have enough power left to pick up the dropped Spider Infected, so it's been dropped there just to make sure Valkyrie can't get to it. Also, Black Ops Strike says he must be placed within 1 of the target, it's not optional, so he's actually not in range for that console. Anyway, over to Valkyrie to end the turn since Loki is not getting a turn now. So for Valkyrie's turn, she moved medium around the tree here, then spent 2 on a charge to put her here. She tried to strike Killmonger and rolled poorly, so did no damage, but she's claiming that console. That takes us to the cleanup for Battle Round 4. So I knew this game was close, but I had no idea it actually just come to a close, thanks to capturing the consoles. So, as far as Spider Infected, Venom and Killmonger both have 1 each for 2 victory points, but they hold no consoles. Hela and Thor have Spider Infected, so that's 2 victory points. But more importantly, Valkyrie's claiming this, Hela's claiming this, and because Thor knocked Venom away, Thor is claiming this, which puts him on exactly 16 victory points, playing 14, meaning that they've hit the score cap, and it is an Asgardian's win. So that was a heck of a fight. It was super close. As I say, I had no idea the score cap had been hit at the end of that round. I thought it was on 15, but that last minute push by Valkyrie and Thor just secured it for the 1 point. Very happy to see that the Asgardians did well on the field. They're very fun, they're very interesting. Not sure whether or not their faction bonus was played correctly. It wouldn't have mattered in the long run, more or less, but would be interested to know what your interpretation of it is regarding how many people can use it, how often they can use it, etc, etc. Yeah, that was fun. So now, I'm not sure what we're going to be doing in terms of Crisis Protocol battle reports. Might wait for the Guardians of the Galaxy release, might not. Do let me know in the comments what you would like to see going forwards. Thank you very much for watching though. Actually, you know what? A friend suggested a fantastic crew to run now that Loki is done. You can actually do a pretty decent sounding Thor Ragnarok themed crew, where you could have Thor, Loki, Valkyrie and Hulk, assuming you played a mission that has enough points. I think that adds up to, was that 18 points in total? I'm not sure, I can't remember. But it's such a fun sounding idea for a crew. No idea if it will work as a cohesive team, but it's just a fun idea. So you know what, I'll probably run that next time, see how it is. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Please do remember to show your support, and we'll see you in the future for more content. Ta-ta for now.